I would like to read from another short section of Roar the Ganges. This is a book we've been reading together, a few pages at a time, and we've made it all the way to page 266. The last time we read, our protagonist, Mark, died. Or at least metaphorically died, as he renounced his old identity and became Swami Tadatmananda Saraswati, a Hindu monk of the Saraswati order, a sannyasi, a renunciate. And now we are reading this chapter titled A Sannyasi's Life. We are going to explore, I assume, what it's like to be a Swami now. Thursday, March 23rd. The following morning, I awoke feeling refreshed and clear-headed. After bathing, I picked up an orange dhoti from the stack of new clothes Mataji had brought to my room yesterday. Touching the cloth, I pondered how strange it seemed for me to wear these saffron robes. Over the years, I had developed deep respect for those who wore such robes, mostly because my own guru wore them. I knew very well that not every saffron-draped sadhu lives up to the highest ideals of spiritual life. But for me, those robes represented an unconditional commitment to uphold the sannyasi's vows of renunciation and non-injury. At first, it felt almost disrespectful for me to wear the robes of a sannyasi. Yet, I understood that these robes are worn not so much as a sign to others, but as a sign for oneself. They serve as a powerful reminder of one's own commitment, a reminder present every waking hour. They remove the wearer from participating in mundane life. One can hardly go to movies or attend parties so attired. Also, they send an unambiguous message to people looking for a romantic partner. Warning: monk, not available. As I walked through the courtyard towards the dining hall, I heard my friend Vijay's voice behind me. "Good morning, Swamiji." I assumed he was greeting one of the ashram resident Swamis, and so I walked on. Then he said, a little louder this time, "Hello, Swamiji." I kept on walking. Finally, he cried out my old name. "Hey, Mark." I spun around, suddenly realized that he had been trying to get my attention all along. I was not accustomed to being addressed as a Swami. It never crossed my mind that he had been talking to me. Still laughing at my confusion, we walked together into the dining hall. After breakfast, workers were busy erecting an enormous white and red striped canopy in the courtyard. Vijay explained that a Bandhara would be held today. A Bandhara is a feast, a banquet, to which dozens or even hundreds of Sadhus are invited as guests of honor. Bandharas are frequently sponsored by generous visitors to the ashram who want to feed sannyasis and brahmacharis as an act of religious charity. The sponsors not only assume all the expenses for the bandhara, but often help serve the guests as well. Under the canopy, long mats were rolled out for seating and place settings carefully arranged. Each setting included a plate and bowl made of leaves, deftly stitched together. These inexpensive and practical utensils not only eliminated the need for washing, but were disposed of most ecologically by letting hungry cows eat them. Waves of sannyasis and brahmacharis began streaming into the ashram shortly before noon. They formed an exotic procession unique to Hindu culture. Some sadhus wore dreadlock twists, or dreadlocks twisted into bulging masses piled on their head, while others arrived with shiny, recently shaven heads. Some came attired in silk shirts and carefully pressed dhotis, wearing numerous strands of sacred rudraksha beads around their necks. Others wore nothing but a single tattered cloth. Their robes varied in hue, from faded peach to a deep red that resembled the maroon robes worn by Buddhist monks. Some looked barely 20 years old, while others bore flowing white beards and faces deeply lined with age. Before long, about 200 sadhus were seated in the shade of the canopy. At the appointed time, they all began to chant the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, as is customarily done before meals in many ashrams. While they chanted, a crew of 10 volunteers came with buckets of steaming food and walked down each row serving the sadhus. Swami Tadatmananda stood nearby, supervising the activity. When I asked him who was sponsoring today's Bandhara, he said the benefactor was Raj, the bank executive from Delhi. It was not long before Raj appeared with a huge stack of crisp, new 10 rupee notes in his hand. He began going down each row, giving 20 rupees to each sadhu. I quickly calculated that the total cost of this bandhara would be a significant part of a monthly salary for Raj. Swami Tadatmananda told me that for some of these sadhus, the only money they get is what they receive at bandharas. They can easily receive food from the anakshetras that feed sadhus each day, but they still need money for other essentials like soap and sandals. Many sadhus are without the comforts enjoyed by residents of this beautiful ashram, where 3 hot meals are served every day. Many survive with difficulty, living a meager existence, dependent on charity for every aspect of their sustenance. I asked Swami Tadatmananda what happens to such sadhus when they fall ill. Sometimes, he answered, they are taken to a hospital that accepts charity cases, and sometimes they just die. Every person was served generous portions of rice, curry, puris, and dal. They also received a special sweet called laddu. Laddus or golf ball-shaped lumps of sugar and butter, with just enough chickpea flour to hold them together. As the volunteers circulated to serve seconds, I was astonished by how many laddus these sadhus could consume. After all had eaten their fill, they chanted a final prayer. Then, like a sudden storm, they all rose at once and quickly scattered out the gate. Not one stayed to loiter or chat. Within moments, the ashram was quiet again. The only evidence of the Bandhara was the canopy and hundreds of leaf plates and bowls. Those plates and bowls would soon become a tasty treat for nearby cows who would enjoy a banquet of their own. And we'll pause our reading there for now. What a cute little day so far. A little party for many swamis and sadhus. That is fun. Thank you for listening with me.